we do have a kitchen. It's not so very crumbly. Just so you know, we are very grateful for what we have there. They were able to put some new appliances in. We do have a new, beautiful new ovens and a stovetop. It looks amazing. And there's just a few things like, I think maybe some of our baking pans maybe need to be replaced. There's a few little things that need to be done. But I am so excited to share with you today, but before I do that, I'm gonna have you guys, come on, just come up here, we'll just do it fast. They're like, do we have to? I said, yes, you do. So they're just gonna introduce themselves and just tell them briefly just something that they're thankful for.
Hi, my name's Jenna. I'm thankful for being here in Mount Bethel, being part of the Rooted program. I'm from North Dakota, so I don't see a lot of big cities like New York, so we went there this week and I got to experience New York and just how big and how many people are there. I'm just so thankful for all them being there and like being able to help others. So yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Elle, and when people ask me what I'm thankful for, my immediate thought is always like friends and family and the Lord's provision, which are so amazing. And last week, we got to spend some time with so many people who had so little, and it reminded me just once again of how blessed we are to have all that we have, like the breath in our lungs, the food in our pantries, a roof over our heads, and friends and family to love and be loved by. So it's just so wonderful, and all these are a gift from God, and of all these things we should be very grateful for. So yeah.
Hello, I'm Cheyenne. I'm also part of the Rooted program. The biggest thing that I'm thankful for in general, but specifically this year, is just community. I've got to meet some amazing women. I live with 4 of them, and I could not be more grateful. Before coming here, I was very passive in my faith, and having these girls around me has just been such an amazing influence on my life, and learning about intentionality with your faith, and just getting to be in community has been amazing.
I'm Elizabeth. I think my favorite thing and the thing I've been most thankful for being out here is the chance to serve God in a new area. Being a missionary kid, I've gotten a chance to be a lot of places and see God work in many new areas, but being able to be in a place by myself and without my parents, and to be able to just invest in the community and invest in my faith and see God work in so many new ways separate from what I used to. It has been just incredible.
And we are minus, oh yes.
Could you just explain what you guys did in New York this week?
Sure. I will say, some of you don't know what Rooted is, so I'm going to say that first. So Rooted is a gap year program we are in our first year. This year started in September, and we are a program that is for young adults between the ages of 18 and 25 who come to Tuscarora. Our campus is up at the Pines, which is just up the road here, where the Hobbit House is. And we are learning, serving, and living in community. And so this year we have 5 ladies. Nia Tellefson is not with us today, but she's our fifth lady, and we have 3 boys. So they are up at the campus, and each week we have a speaker come in. Roger teaches a class on Monday, which is going through the Old Testament and then the New Testament. So he's kind of doing a biblical survey throughout the whole year. Then there's a special speaker that comes in each week from Tuesday to Friday who is teaching on a different topic. Some of the things that we've had is the Psalms and worship. We did meta-narrative, biblical disciplines, spiritual disciplines, missions. We had Dan Venberg with us. So every week there's just different speakers coming in. And they do about 30 hours of class time. So most of our morning is spent in class. And then in the evening, they have been able to come and be a part of, on Wednesdays, the Wednesday program here and serving in that aspect. There's a few things that they're doing at Tuscarora as service, and also part of their time, there's some weeks that are off. So like this past week, they spent the entire week in New York City, just going to different missions there. They went to a prayer service on Tuesday evening at the Brooklyn Tabernacle prayer service. It was amazing. If I have time, I'll tell you more about that later. And also, so just different times of service. They are planning to go on a mission trip to Mexico later in the spring. And so just different weeks of travel and just a lot of different things, but also living in community with other people who are sharpening you and growing your faith is really one of the best things, I think. Just having those informal discussions about things that they've been learning in class and just being able to sharpen each other. And we have community meals, and we've also been able to be a part in your homes also on Monday evenings. So thank you for that. So that's just kind of a quick flyover. I think I hit all the, okay. Yeah, so was there something else, Stephanie, that you wanted me to say before I start?
And if anyone else wants to sign up for Monday meals,
We
have December 2nd open and some dates in January.
Part of the reason for doing that is my daughter was a part of a gap year program in Colorado, and she said one of the best parts was just being able to get to know the local church community and the local body, and just those times of sharing a meal with people and hearing about their lives and where their lives has taken them and what they're doing. That, she said, was so enriching to my own spiritual life. So I knew that would be a really important part of our program, so thank you so much for being willing to do that.
And I have to tell you, everyone that has hosted them has had such a wonderful time. And my husband is not into making friends with strangers, and he loved having them. And the thing he loved the most was that they were so young and they didn't have their heads in a phone. He loved it. And they were so conversational.
All right, so it is my privilege to be able to meet with you today. And honestly, my head has been swarming this week, and I feel like I have so many things to say. And I kept just praying like, God, but just make sure that it's what you know they need to hear that is coming out of my mouth today. So would you just pray with me before I begin? Father God, I thank you. You have given us so many good things, God. And I just pray that you would, that your truths and your word would be proclaimed in what I have to share. God, help me to be a good witness of your faithfulness today. I pray this in your name, amen. So my name is Jenny Viksnes, and my husband is Roger Viksnes. He has been a pastor in the LB since 2003. We were first, in seminary, we were actually at Jenna's church in Wapaton, North Dakota, as youth leaders there. So we have a connection with Jenna's family. And then we moved to New York, Brooklyn, New York, and we were there for about 8 years. After that, we moved to Connecticut, and we were there for about 12 years. That was both of our home church, so that was just kind of an unusual thing to be able to go back to your home. And then we have come here. This is something that has been on our hearts, this Rooted program, for many years. We had met with Brian, I think it was back in 2017, 2018, and just dreaming about what it would be like to have a program for young people. And just seeing that our denomination had programs in the past, like Bible School and Alpha Way and the Yes Teams and Servant Teams, and knowing that those things made a huge impact on students' lives, but knowing that there wasn't really anything right now. And so just kind of praying and dreaming about that, and COVID kind of put a damper on all of that, but then kind of came back to fruition again, and it's just a privilege to be able to be a part of this. But please know, ladies, that we can have the best program in place, we can have the greatest everything, we can have the best speakers coming, and we can do everything that we can to make it, the right everything. But if the Holy Spirit isn't doing the work in the lives of these young people, it is all for nothing. So please just be holding that up in prayer and praying that alongside of us. Just so we want this to be a really impactful year where the Lord just is really working in these young people's lives. So I am a mom of 5. I have my oldest daughter, Juliana, is 20, and Jack, he's part of the program. He is 19. Then we have Anthony, who is 16. He is going to high school at Hillcrest right now. He's in his senior year, and he just turned 17. And Carly, she's around here, so there she is. She is 13, and Ella is 12. So those are my order. I also have a foster daughter she is really our own also. She was never officially adopted, but she came to live with us while we were in New York. And that's a whole nother story. I could write a book, so maybe I'll have you back another time. I am an elementary school teacher with a special education major. We got married a month after I graduated college and moved to Minnesota, where Roger was in seminary. And while there, I was able to use my degree teaching first grade, which I absolutely loved. That was at Morning Sun, which is the new Hillcrest lower school. And then we moved to New York, and I was pregnant with Juliana, and I didn't get back into the school system. But while in Connecticut, I started teaching preschool, and oh my goodness, 4-year-olds are the best. So that was so fun to be able to have God open that door again. So that's just a little bit about me. I kind of feel a little bit like, here I am putting myself out there, and there's so many faces that I still haven't had the privilege to know, but please come up and ask me and talk to me, and you'll have to remind me of your name about 3 times before I'll really solidify it in there. But as a good teacher, I brought a visual aid, so just one second. Does anyone know what this is? Anybody? Yes, what is it? It's a cairn. It's kind of like the word, it's like Karen, but not 2 syllables, just one. And it's spelled C-A-I-R-N, cairn. And you will see these oftentimes when you're going on a hike, and maybe you've gotten above the tree line, and there's no more marks on the trees, and they need to mark the trail. So it's like a guidepost. It's showing you the way, okay? So remember that, because it's going to become relevant later. Okay. Okay, I'm going to start just by sharing with you a story that comes from Joshua. It's Joshua 3, and it goes all the way really through chapter 3 and chapter 4. There's a lot of repetition, so I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. This is where Joshua has taken over for Moses. Moses has died, and Joshua is in charge now. He's installed as a new leader. They just encountered Rahab and the spies, and the walls of Jericho have fallen down. And now this is where they're going to get ready to cross the Jordan. And I just want you to remember, they have already, in their past, they have crossed the Red Sea in front of the Egyptians, right? They've gone through the 40 years and all of the miracles that happened there. And now they're getting ready to cross the Jordan. It says, early in the morning, Joshua and all the Israelites set out and went to the Jordan, where they camped before crossing over. After 3 days, the officers went throughout the camp, giving orders to the people. When you see the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God and the Levitical priests carrying it, you were to move out from the positions and follow it. Then you will know which way to go, since you have never been this way before. But keep a distance of about 2,000 cubits between you and the Ark. Do not go near. So the next day, Joshua said to the priests, take up the Ark of the Covenant and pass ahead of the people. So they took it up and went ahead of them. And the Lord said to Joshua, "Today I will begin to exalt you in the eyes of Israel so that they may know that I am with you as I was with Moses. Tell the priests who carry the Ark of the Covenant, when you reach the edge of the Jordan waters, go and stand in the river." Joshua said to the Israelites, "Come here and listen to the words of the Lord your God. This is how you will know that the living God is among you, and that you will certainly drive out before you the Canaanites and Hittites and Hivites and Perizzites and I can't even pronounce the next one. See, the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord of all the earth will go into the Jordan ahead of you. Now then, choose 12 men from the tribes of Israel, one from each tribe, and as soon as the priests who carry the Ark of the Lord of all the earth, set foot in the Jordan, its waters flowing downstream will be cut off and stand in a heap." Now I'm just going to paraphrase a little bit. The Jordan River is at flood stage. And you know what a river is like when it's at flood stage. It is raging. So the people broke up camp, and the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant went ahead of them. It says that the Jordan is at flood stage all during the harvest, and as soon as the priests who carried the Ark reached the Jordan and their feet touched the water's edge, the water from upstream stopped flowing, and it piled up in a heap a great distance away. Now, I'm going to skip a little bit so the people crossed over opposite Jericho. The priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord stopped in the middle of the Jordan and stood on dry ground, while all of Israel passed by until the whole nation had completed the crossing on dry ground. During this time, the Lord says to Joshua, "Choose 12 men from among the people, one from each tribe, and tell them to take up 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan, from right where the priests are standing in the middle, and carry them with you and put them down at the place where you're to stay tonight." So Joshua commanded the people to do that, and when they got to the other side, they took the 12 stones that were from the middle of the Jordan, according to the number of the tribes of Israel, which was 12. And as the Lord had told Joshua, they carried them over to where they had camped, and they put them down. Joshua set the 12 stones that had been in the middle of the Jordan at the spot where the priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant had stood, and they are there to this day. Then he says to the Israelites, skipping ahead a little bit, "In the future, when your descendants ask their parents, 'What do these stones mean?' tell them, 'Israel crossed the Jordan on dry ground. For the Lord your God dried up the Jordan before you until you had crossed over. The Lord your God did to the Jordan what he had done to the Red Sea when he dried it up before us until we had crossed over. He did this so that all the peoples of the earth might know that the hand of the Lord is powerful, and so that you might always fear the Lord your God." So, just thinking about that description and thinking, this is kind of what they made, isn't it? And it was so that they would not forget. And it would be their guidepost to remember what God has done, that we can trust him and rely on him in all of our futures. In our lives, that can build our own faith, knowing that God who did that is my God. That's what he's done. That can be my own rock, knowing that he's done that. But also, he does that in our own lives, ladies. And we need to be looking for those things. So it has been 1 year approximately since I found out I had cancer. I'm probably gonna cry. That's okay. So it was early on, and the doctor said, "Oh, it looks like you caught it really early. It's probably stage 0. No big deal. It's gonna be nothing. A little blip in your path, it'll be nothing." And I was like, "Really? Really?" And I was like, "Okay, that sounds great. That's good. We've got a lot of planning to do this year in preparation for Rooted." And So I had a biopsy, and I had another biopsy, and then I had the surgery, and it was after the first surgery in January, the middle of January. I had a lumpectomy, and then I had a sentinel node biopsy where they take 5 lymph nodes to test, just to make sure there's no spread. And it was a snow day, and my girls were home from school, and I had, gone on to my chart. I had always been checking ahead, just make sure everything was good, and I saw the results of the test, and I knew it was not good. My surgeon called me and she said, I saw you looked, I saw you saw. And she said, I'm so sorry if there's someone with you right now. And she could hear my girls clattering in the background. And I just felt so overwhelmed. And I just needed to walk somewhere. So I put on my winter coat and I went out in the snow, and it was such a beautiful snow coming down. The kind of snow that you can hear when it falls because it's just so quiet. And I was standing by the river. And I said, God, I don't want this to be my story. I don't want this to be my story. And God graciously reminded me when I was in high school, there was a verse, Psalm 90:12, that says, teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. And I thought of that verse. And there were so many unknowns in that moment, and I thought, what of my future? Do I even have one? There's so many questions. And I was kind of arguing, having a good wrestle with God in that quiet snow, and saying, I don't want this. Like, I don't want to go this way. I don't want this to be my story. And God just reminded me, Jenny, I have been with you always. And I'm going to keep being with you. I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to walk with you, just like I always have. And I know that some of you, maybe you don't have cancer in your story, but you have something that says, God, I didn't want this to be my story. But He is so faithful to us. And He is going to be with you. And in that moment, thank you. In that moment, I said, yes, God, okay. I can't argue with that. Yes, God. I will go wherever I go. Wherever you take me. So, from that point, it got a little bit more confusing and a little bit crazier, because that was the middle of January. I had to have a further lumpectomy, and then I had a PET scan, and the PET scan showed bone metastasis. So I then went from stage 0 to stage 4. I had a round of chemo, and then the next week, 2 weeks when I showed up for my chemo, the doctor said, I can't in good conscience continue, because I don't think this is the right treatment for you. So, okay, well, what do I do now? I felt so far away from knowing that I had cancer, and now here I am in March, and we still don't know what's going on or what's happening. I felt really frustrated. So I started hormone therapies, and I just had a PET scan in the end of August, which I had taken some. So, and just so just the craziness of this whole story, my insurance was denying everything. So I had over a $10,000 of medical debt piling, and the doctor, I then also went to Sloan for a second opinion, and so all of these things are happening, and I choose to trust you, God, because I know that you have been faithful, and I know what you have done, and I know what you've done in the Bible. And I know that you are that God, and I know what you've done even in my own life, because I have these stones from my own journey that I can look back on in faithfulness and know, I don't know what you're doing, God, but I know what you've done. So I'm going to continue to trust you no matter where you take me. So I had a PET scan at the end of August, and it showed I had I had stronger medicine, but then that costs a lot of money, so I'm still fighting that church battle. And no one told me that when you fight cancer, it's not the cancer you're fighting, it's the insurance company. I wasn't prepared for that. But the PET scan at the end of August showed that I had actually pneumonia, but it looked good other than that, so I was resting my body and trying to heal my body from some of the pneumonia. In the end of September, I had another PET scan. So I met with my doctor from Sloan, and she said, Jenny, she said, I know you haven't really had the strong medications. You've only had one round of chemo. You've had one round of that drug and a half, because I stopped because of the pneumonia. But she said, I could not ask for any better scans. She said, your bones on the PET scans show, a dark black hole. And the bone biopsy proves that was cancerous. But she says, I can see on the PET scans like a gradation. It's showing that your bones are healing. They are regenerating healthy bone cells. So on that day, standing by the river, in the quiet snow, I just remember saying, God, I don't know what you're doing. I have no idea what you're doing. And this isn't something that I would choose, and I don't think it's right, but God, I've got a front row seat to whatever you're going to do. So help me to tell of your faithfulness. Because that's my God. He can do amazing things, and He does that every day in our lives, and we have to build those reminders when we're discouraged. We have to remember what God has done, and we have to tell, to be His witnesses. This goes on to a different part of my story, which I won't get into details, but have you ever been so overwhelmed? It just feels like drowning. You're drowning in life. And you're so overwhelmed. And this was before the cancer journey, but I know that there were days that I could not even go on. I couldn't even continue. The only thing that I could do was go to my bedroom, shut the door, get on my knees, and worship. And I had a playlist of about 56 worship songs that I would just listen to on my face in my bedroom. God, I don't know what you're doing, but I trust you. And through that praise, trusting when I can't even see my own way, then I sometimes it would be song 26, sometimes I would be song 56 by the time I could go back into life. But God filled me with His presence in those moments and said, I am your peace, because I am the God who never changes. I am the same yesterday, today, and forever. And all of the promises that I have for you are the same, despite your circumstances, despite what storm is raging around you. You can count on me. And it was in those moments completely filled with the peace of God. That's another rock, right? Another stone to add. So this picture was actually taken, I can't remember what year it was, probably 2018, I'm gonna guess. We had gone away to Block Island for our anniversary, just Roger and I. And he had actually made this stone cairn on the beach, by the North Lighthouse on Block Island. It's about 3/4 of a mile of a walk from the parking lot, and you can go to this beautiful beach. And he just made this and took a picture, and then he thought, oh, I think I kind of like that picture. I'll make it into something. So he turned it into this picture, which I love now. But these, we took it down afterwards because it's not really a guidepost, but it's something that to remind us of our own guidepost. But on the north shore of Block Island, if you, from the lighthouse, walk out to where the two waters kind of meet there, there's this little jetty that kind of goes out into the ocean right there. And one side of the water kind of comes in, and like across from you can see the mainland of Rhode Island, but the waters are kind of meeting there. And I tried to look this up, because there must be some scientific explanation for this, but I couldn't find it anywhere. But when we were at that beach and we were just kind of looking around at the rocks and the driftwood and things, Roger said, Jenny, come here. You gotta hear this. Come here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, no, come here. He goes, come and stand here. And I was like, what? Okay. So I went and stood. He goes, do you hear it? And I was like, no. What are you talking about? He goes, go a little deeper. So I walked in a little further. So right where those two, I think it was low tide. Right where the water was kind of lapping together. Go a little deeper. Do you know about this? Someone else said yes, I don't know. But so go a little deeper. And I went up to about my shins in the water. And it was the most incredible sound I have ever heard. It was like, you can hear the lapping of waves. All of a sudden, it just like went stereo. Like it was so loud, and it was like encompassing your whole being. Like just like it was just like, the waves are just a little bit, like it's low tide, and like it's up to your shins, the sound just got so amazing. And just made me think about when you're in the presence of Jesus, that praise and that worship just encompasses you. And it drowns out everything else. And you remember what really matters. And you remember who God is. And so it's interesting, I haven't really put those two things together until just really recently, but I have this picture so that I see it every morning as soon as I wake up. Because God is so good. Just a quick story. I have so many to tell, but just one more quick story. Part of that on my face in my bedroom, just listening to worship to get me through the day, had to do with my daughter and just the circumstances that she was facing. It was just so terrible to have to watch. And I was desperately praying, God, please don't let her lose her faith in this. Please don't let her lose her faith. And just desperately crying out to him that he would just hold her fast. When her and Jack were little in Brooklyn, I used to tell them stories before they went to bed. And I made up this story about Princess Amalia and her little brother, Prince George, and we would tell all these crazy stories. But every morning, when Princess Amalia woke up, I started every story this way. She opened up her window, she looked out across the mountains, she spread her arms, and she would sing, "How great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God." And that's how every story started. Well, this Tuesday night, I was able to, I went into the city and I met them, and we were able to go to the Brooklyn Tabernacle prayer time. Miraculously, we did not plan this, but Juliana had come home on Monday night, just like at midnight, thanks, moms, and you're like, oh, you're gonna leave now? And you're gonna get here when? Okay. But she had come home on Monday night, and so she went with me to the city on Tuesday, because she was home. And we went to the prayer service, and we were just sitting quietly before it started. We had a prayer card for someone to pray with, and we were waiting for Roger to finish parking the car and come. And I was just sitting there in quiet prayer, and then just thinking, Juliana's here with me. And I'm thankful, God, because you have been doing a good work in her life, but you did hold her fast, just like I asked. You have strengthened her faith through hard circumstances, and you have held her fast. Do you know, they asked us to stand and open up that prayer service in song. Do you know a song we sang? Yeah, we did. How great is our God? We sang that. So, another rock to put on my pile. But God is so good. And we can miss those things if we're not really looking for them. But we can trust Him no matter where He's taking us. On that day, standing next to the river, and I said, God, I don't want this to be part of my story. I was thinking the worst, because that's where your mind goes. Does anyone else's mind go there? How many more months do I have? What about my kids? Are they going to have to watch me suffer? And God said, even if. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And if all I have is a hand to lift in praise, then I will. I kind of straight from my notes, I'm sorry. I'm going to read and close with John 16:33. And it says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. This is Jesus talking. That in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble. But take heart. I have overcome the world. And the promises that He has for us are always, no matter what comes our way. And so I hope that my testimony, my witness of what God has been doing can strengthen your faith. I know that when you pray for me and I have an answer to prayer, it's your answer to prayer too. So thank you for that. But I need you to know what God has done and what He continues to do. So thank you for the opportunity to be able to share that with you. Do you want me to close or Stephanie? Okay. One more thing. This is something that I read somewhere, I don't remember where. I've read so many books, I can't keep this right anymore. But when you go through something hard, don't ask why. Ask what. What is it, God, you want to teach me? What is it that you have for me? What is it that you're going to show me? What is it? Help me to see it. So, thank you.